In Madrid surrounds Cristiano Ronaldo. Of course, he wasn't in action. None of the BBC were. Zinedine Zidane on the cover of AS saying, I can't imagine Real Madrid without him. Well, maybe their fans can, because they did a big poll of Real Madrid fans. 125,000 of them were asked about Ronaldo, and nearly two-thirds said they want to see Cristiano Ronaldo leave the Estadio Bernabeu. Quite astonishing. Gab Marcotti is with us. Gab, what do you make of those poll results, and will it have any impact on what happens next for Ronaldo?
I mean, look, these aren't scientific polls and whatnot, but I still think that, they have some value. I think it shows that the opinion has shifted, the mood has shifted a little bit. The last time around there was talk of Cristiano leaving. We know how it ended. It ended with a new contract. I think this time around it's a little bit different. Real Madrid are legitimately hamstrung. There's only so much that they can do, not because they lack money, but because they have a manager who believes in playing as veterans. They don't have that many alternatives off the bench, and these guys are locked into big contracts. And I think the thinking is, let's dangle this a little bit. I don't think Cristiano Ronaldo's averse to being dangled either, incidentally, and let's see what happens. Personally, I look at his wages, and I simply don't see any club that Ronaldo might want to go to being prepared to go and make that sort of financial commitment.
Ronaldo likes to be wanted. He likes to be loved.
We all do. Well, he's not going to last long there,
He's only human, but him particularly. Is this going to have... I mean, can you see him staying at a club where the fans don't want him?
I think the winds will shift yet again. I mean... 12 months ago they were whistling him, and then all of a sudden he went on this run in the Champions League, and you get to see the true value of Cristiano Ronaldo. Now, as well as that may be, I just feel that Ronaldo has become synonymous with Real Madrid over the years. And whether he's putting in those performances or not, I think just in terms of his personality, in terms of his marketability, in terms of his brand, it goes hand in hand with Real Madrid. And I know Manchester United will, and their fans will feel otherwise, but it makes sense for him to stay. It doesn't make sense for him to get another contract on top of this, but it makes sense for him, for me, to stay.
He's got a contract till 2021, but he's very nearly 33, Stevie. Is it time?
Yeah.
Since the wind changing direction?
Yeah. Listen, I get what Shaq is saying, but at the end of the day, won the Champions League for Real Madrid. And so a guy with the personality that he has, if he's not playing, he will be an absolute nightmare around the club. And the way he's playing, he's lucky that they don't have anybody else. Either Bale's not fit, or there's nobody else that can step in and fight for a position. So at the moment, they're stuck with him. Do they need to get rid of him? I think they do, but as Gab said, who's going to pay his wages?
Stevie, I think to a certain degree, when you hear the quotes that have been attributed to Cristiano saying that he thinks somebody should come in and I want to move to United, I want to do this, I want to do that, it is disruptive. Yes, he has been a fantastic player. I do think he's on the downside, but no matter who you are in that dressing room, you still got to have the togetherness to be successful. And I just don't think that they're together. I think you can see that with the way that they're playing, and I think he's spilling over to everybody.
Gab, you mentioned the dangling from Real Madrid. Where is the interest? Is it genuinely Manchester United and PSG only?
I don't even know that there is genuine interest, certainly from Manchester United. I mean, obviously they'll be willing to talk, but if they're about to invest a lot of money in Alexis Sanchez, they have invested a ton of money in Lukaku. Paul Pogba's there. It's not so much that they can't afford it, but it's a question of going and balancing the egos, balancing the playing time. The other thing about Cristiano, though, that said, with all the negativity, and yeah, he hasn't played well. He's Real Madrid's top scorer this season. He has 16 goals, twice as many as the next highest top goal scorer. So I think there's also a bit of a risk of turning into some kind of scapegoat for all of Real Madrid's ills. It's not a bad return at this stage of the season, and I think there's also a school of thought that says if Cristiano can readjust to playing his game a little bit differently, maybe a little bit centrally, you know, the skills he has. He's big, he's strong, he's still a tremendous finisher, although he takes a lot of bad shots, and he's devastating in the air. You know, you can have yourself somebody that can probably extend his career, maybe not to 36 at this level, but probably not far off it.
Copa del Rey edition of ESPN Extra Time after they demolished
Magnificent performance.
Leganes. Leganes, by the way, who were known as Los Pepineros, the cucumber growers.
Lots.
Lots.
I tell you what, they've lost a few and all.
There's your research,
I
right
always
there.
wanted to know what
That's your
cucumber
research.
growers was in
Cucumber growers,
Spanish.
it says right here.
I've been trying to say that
I bet they're
forever.
absolutely thrilled with that.
Cucumber grower.
They want to start planting some in a goal then.
It brings us very nicely to
Look it up.
the first question. Do Real Madrid need to splash money in the summer transfer window, like some people are suggesting? Eden Hazard, Robert Lewandowski says TMS as potential targets. Do they need to?
Yeah!
Yeah, why not? Why
Like
not?
what, 19 points behind Barcelona? How far are they behind Barcelona?
Things are not quite going.
Yeah.
How about
too
the
well.
January? How about the January transfer window?
Well,
let alone the summer
initially, I thought that was the question, whether it's January
one? No,
or not. But
he says the summer one.
it's pretty
Both.
simple, TMS.
Both.
Summer, absolutely.
Might they have some Cristiano Ronaldo tinged cash to splash in the summer?
I'm sure. I'm sure
No.
they would love it. But no, who's? Listen, if he performs, particularly in La Liga, the way he has been all season, nobody's going to want a guy who's not scoring goals and taking the chances that he's
Oh,
had.
people are
people
queuing
still
up.
want him,
People are
aren't they?
queuing up for Ronaldo.
What, mental money a week?
Well, maybe not.
Well,
that.
If it's a
People
cut price,
will ask. He
it's a
mightn't
cut
want to go
price,
there.
okay.
He
Well,
mightn't want to
exactly.
go. I'm just saying. People will be queuing up.
Queuing up.
so they will.
Queuing up.
By the way,
What, to
by the
sell
way,
shirts?
I'm only wanting $1 million a week. Tax free. Yeah, they'll be queuing up all right.
Taking a drop.
Yeah.
Gab Marcotti is with us. Gab, you sense a busy summer for the Merengues?
I think a lot's going to depend on what happens in the Champions League. Obviously, if they win the Champions League, then you know, things are going to be viewed differently. But I think there's no question that this squad needs to be retooled. I think they need to do it in such a way where a guy like Marco Asensio can be a full-time starter. I think they'll definitely try to shift either Bale or Cristiano Ronaldo. I think they're going to look to get a center forward in, because with Benzema, it's not just the fact that, you know, half the people don't seem to like him and he doesn't score much. It's also the fact that he gets hurt a lot and misses games. In midfield, also, I think that they might even be ready to make a painful decision on Modric. The goalkeeper is a situation too. But, you know, it's a lot easier to go and clean house like that when you're coming off a failure. It'll be interesting to see if they do finish strong. And they got a tough draw in the Champions League, but not an impossible one. And you wouldn't necessarily bet against them. If that happens, it'll be interesting to see whether, you know, they'll just keep the gang together once more for old time's sake.
Reports in Spain over the last couple of days about the future of Cristiano Ronaldo. Apparently, the Ballon d'Or winner wants out at Madrid. Raf Honigstein, let's start with you. Raf, is this his last season in the Spanish capital?
I doubt it. I doubt it. I think we've been down this route before. We've heard it before. It's usually been used as a pressure point to get a better deal or to get some sort of commitment or some love. And I just don't see it. And I don't see that much of a market for him. If you want, of course, the goals, if you want the glamour, the name, the brand, yes. If you want a footballer that's still got his best time ahead of him, then no. He'll be 33 very soon. For that money, difficult, I think, to shift him.
Where would he go?
Do you know, at some point, I don't know is the answer, but I think at some point, Real Madrid have bent over backwards for this guy on numerous occasions, and probably rightly so, the way he's performed for them. But at some point, someone's going to have to call his bluff. In terms of, you can't just keep doing this and then expect them to give him another new contract.
His contract's up in 2021, by the way. He'll be 36 by then.
Yeah, and wasn't that long ago that he signed that. was it?
2016.
Yeah.
The only possible destination I could see for Ronaldo at this point is Manchester United. Will they be willing to pay the transfer fee that I'm sure Real Madrid will ask? I doubt.
China?
Maybe, but I just feel Manchester United, as much noise as he's made about returning to Old Trafford, I feel that's the only sensible destination. Saying that, whatever happens, I don't think they'll be getting value for money in terms of the player.
What about MLS, Al? Is that an option?
It's an option, but it depends on how they approach a contract negotiation with Cristiano Ronaldo, because I don't think that the money that he would be demanding would be in play. However, if you make him a partner in a team, if you make him part of jersey sales,
How did they get Beckham done?
Well, that's part of it.
Right.
Is that it wasn't just his performance on the field that he was getting paid for. There were other things that were attached to it, and that's how they structured the deal. I think there's something to be said about MLS reaching out. They'll certainly be on the lookout for the possibility of Cristiano Ronaldo, because it's a game changer for
It's a
Major
proper
League Soccer.
signing. It's
Yes.
like Beckham.
Yes, and again, it gives you a much bigger platform from which you can showcase your product. In that sense, you would think that MLS would be all over it. As it pertains to the player that you're getting, I think it's different. When it comes to Cristiano, it's more of the brand than anything else.
But it wouldn't be LA, would it, be any chance?
It'd be a big market, I'll tell you that much.
Not Columbus?
No, well, hopefully Columbus is around, baby.
But seriously, I mean, I've criticised before the fact that you're bringing in the older player. But but even though he's not performing like he can, he's still at a standard that this would be a huge marketing tool for Major League Soccer. Yeah. Seriously, that you're bringing in 50% of the greatest players of the generation between him and Messi. Now, Messi's not ready to do this yet. That might happen at a different time. But Ronaldo might just be.
Look, one of the underpinnings of the Beckham deal was, of course, the Adidas contract with David Beckham and with Major League Soccer. Cristiano Ronaldo is a Nike athlete. Now, how does that play off in terms of the association with Major League Soccer? I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Crunching the numbers here.
How does that play off? How does that structure?
You want a piece of the deal or something?
I'll happily have a piece of that deal.
Raf, so when he does leave Real Madrid, what is his most likely destination?
I think at 36, I mean, I personally believe that his dream would be to just play until he's 36 and then disappear into the sunset. Why would you go anywhere else? You don't need the money. You don't need to prove anything. I don't think he is motivated by money at this point. I see the perfect scenario is him lasting the deal. But the problem is, does Real Madrid want him to last the deal? Or is the point coming where they are saying to him, you know what, we'd like you to leave? And Real Madrid have said it to so many big players in the past. I think they're reluctant to force him too much. But if he's feeling that these are the kind of the vibes that are being sent, then I don't think he'll be ready to sit on the bench for 2 years.
I don't think that Cristiano Ronaldo is the sort of athlete and personality that just rise into the sunset.
No.
I don't see that. He likes the attention.
The sunset comes to him.
Yeah, and you know what? Sunset Boulevard in LA, that's the sort of attention he
But
wants.
he said he wants to be an actor.
Oh, here we go.
Well, picture him in with Frank LaBeouf. He does these silent movies for obvious reasons. I mean, Ronaldo should take up golf. What's wrong with people? As Raf said, retire. Take up sport. Golf.
Would you play golf with Ronaldo?
Listen, I know 3 people that could golf with Ronaldo. Could make a 4-ball up with you 3.
No.
You might not enjoy it.
Oh, you'll enjoy it.
No, you'll have fun.
I'll tell you what, that'll be an experience.
Double golf with Ronaldo.
But just don't let Stevie Nicol play behind him.
As a Callaway man, how does that change things? The window, would it, without Cristiano Ronaldo being linked to a move back to Manchester United? And that's exactly what the front page of AS is saying today in Spain. Cristiano wants to go back to United. He's told his teammates he's not happy. Real Madrid haven't kept promises, apparently, regarding his contract. Julian, is there any chance of this happening?
I can't see it. I can't see why United would want to pay, I don't know how much. I mean, the release clause is 1 billion euros, which no one is never going to pay. So I don't know what it would cost. But he's 33 next month. He scored 4 league goals this season. I mean, I know he's still Cristiano Ronaldo. He's 5 Ballon d'Or, the most recent one as well in December. But it would make no sense for United when we're talking about Alexis Sanchez coming in, when Lukaku's just signed last summer, for example. And I can see why he's making that kind of noise, Ronaldo, because he's disappointed he's going to get a new deal quicker, if you want. I mean, the last time he signed a new deal was just in the end of 2016. That's not long ago. So I think he would stay there.
From a Real Madrid perspective, this could work out beautifully. If they get, it's been a horrible season for them, but this could definitely be the silver lining.
In what sense?
If you can get Ronaldo out and get a lot of money for him.
Who's going to pay it now?
This is the problem, isn't it?
I mean, it's amazing how... I would be quite disappointed. Well, I wouldn't be disappointed because it's the way the modern guy is. He just jump shit. But at Real Madrid's time of... Real Madrid have backed this guy, right?
Yeah.
Paid him well. Give him new contract after new contract. And by the way...
He's deserved it. He's
deserved it. I mean, he's been absolutely amazing. But they need him now. And they need him performing better than what he is. He's not alone by a long chalk. But they need him focused and performing because this is their worst domestic season for a long time. They don't need him mumping and moaning and talking about moving somewhere else.
The thing is, funny you should say that, you know, because Real Madrid have looked after him financially. He won't see it that way. He'll be thinking the opposite. He'll be thinking, you know what, they probably should have given me more. And by the way, I've looked after them. That's how he's thinking. And if I'm Manchester United or anybody else, why would you go out and spend either the size of the transfer fee or the wages this guy wants when he's in the worst form of his life and arguably will never be back to the Ronaldo that we all know?
So you're saying United shouldn't touch this?
Absolute madness.
I thought he'd be trying to bail out his manager at this moment in time, not trying to instigate some multi-billion-dollar move and furnish his bank account again, no?
Yesterday, I don't normally do. I checked the calendar just to ensure it wasn't the 1st of April when Peter Crouch to Chelsea was mentioned as a rumour.
I know what's going.
I'll leave this to Stevie Nicol. I'll not even ask you a question. You can.
How about that? Take that. I'm not even going to say anything.
You've broken.
I've never heard anything so ridiculous in all my life.
You've broken the touchscreen.
Good.
So thank you. You're not having it.
No.
At all.
What makes you think that?
It's $2,000 for a new TV, by the way. You okay with that? You are. Ronaldo to... We're going from this to this.
I know.
Ronaldo to leave Real Madrid this summer. Maybe to replace Peter Crouch at Stoke.
Yeah. I don't think he will be moving, just purely and simply because of the wages he's on. He still has plenty of years left on his contract. I don't think anybody else can really afford them. And quite frankly, he's in the worst form of his life. So why would you take somebody who right now doesn't look like he can hit a barn door from 5 yards and pay him an absolute king's ransom? So I think this is a miss. I think he's going nowhere.
Maybe.
I think they would like him to, though.
Well, go to Stoke. Emre Can. Now, Pep Guardiola came out this week when Fernandinho signed a new deal and said that Fernandinho was one of the 3 best defensive midfielders in world football. Do they need Emre Can?
I think they do, because Fernandinho is, what, 33 coming up?
Well, he's just signed a deal to 2020.
Yeah, but when you get to that age, you don't know when your legs are going to disappear.
Speaking from experience.
Speaking from experience, you know, all of a sudden you can't get there. That extra yard is harder work. You're not quite as physically strong as you were. All kinds of things start happening to your body when you start getting up to that 33. So, for me, this would be a smart move. Okay. Chan's 24.
You don't want to lose him at Liverpool, though.
Well, he's gone. He's out of contract.
I know.
I actually think he's going to go to Juventus.
Okay.
And probably from his perspective, if he does go to Juventus, he plays more than he does if he goes to Man City. So I'm going to say this will not happen.
It's another one for me.
For that particular reason, yeah.
Olivier Giroud is not a regular at Arsenal. Would he go to Dortmund?
It would be a smart move. Let me think. I will swap the Europa League for the Champions League. How about that? Because that's what will happen if this guy goes to Dortmund. Dortmund are going to get in the Champions League spots for next season. So it makes no sense from where I'm sitting why Giroud wouldn't go to Dortmund. I think this is a hit. Absolutely.
Finally. Now, Edin Dzeko. If they can't get Crouch, Andy Carroll's injured. Dzeko, he's a good player. Chelsea?
I'm going to say this is a hit.
Okay.
Because Roma, they don't over worry about replacing players. You know, they sold Salah to Liverpool last year for £30 million.
They just get on with it.
And they get on with it. And for Dzeko at 31, again, he's coming into that range of, you know, when do your legs start going. So I think this would be a good move for Dzeko, get back in the Premier League. Clearly, Morata would be the #1, but Dzeko would get plenty of time on the field. And at 31 years of age, it's not the worst thing to happen to you to be able to get some rest. So I think this will happen because Roma do accept offers for their players.
They do.
And I think Dzeko would like it. I'm going to say this is a hit.
Let's sum this up. He's due £2,000 for a new touchscreen TV, which is now on its last legs. Peter Crouch has been linked with Chelsea. And Ronaldo, he might not be leaving Real Madrid to go to Stoke, but he could still be on his way. Bye for now.
News from Spain is that Cristiano Ronaldo is unhappy at Real Madrid again. That even wants to come back to Manchester United now. Looking around, it's kind of slate grey skies. It's been hailstone, it's been snowing, it's cold, it's windy. Ronaldo left because of these reasons. One of the reasons he wanted to play in Spain was to be in a happier climate. So, will Ronaldo come back to Manchester United and experience the glorious weather again?
Perhaps not for the weather. I can perhaps understand why you want to come back. Ronaldo flirting with United a little bit and maybe trying to get a little bit more out of Real Madrid and a better deal. So it's one of those that you believe it when you see it. You can understand perhaps why he would want to come back, but there are an awful lot of reasons why he shouldn't really.
I mean, he's 33 next month, and although he's been a kind of a great athlete and a great, you know, specimen, the goals have tried to pull a little bit for Real this season. He had a packed relationship with Mourinho at Jose Mourinho at Real Madrid anyway, so it just doesn't stack up for me. The thing for me is that if he does leave, where will he go? Because PSG have got attacking options. I don't see another Premier League club going for Ronaldo, so I don't know. And I think he's almost trapped by the contract he's got in Madrid. I think he'll stay at Madrid because he's so expensive and he's now pushing 33. I don't see, unless the MLS, but financially it doesn't really stack up.
No, and I agree. I think that in his head probably he's thinking that he'd quite like to stay at Real Madrid for the rest of his career. But again, it's about status with him a little bit, and he'll want the contract to prove that he's alongside Messi and Neymar as one of the best players in the world, and it'll be up to Real Madrid to decide whether or not to pay that. It makes sense for him to wink a little bit at United and try and get a little bit more out of Real Madrid. Like I say, there aren't that many places he can go. People in Spain are suggesting that Real Madrid are going to want £90 million for him to move him on. He's a great player, but he's certainly not worth £90 million at 33 years old.
You still sing Ronaldo's name at Old Trafford during games, but I think that's it. I don't see him coming back to this club. I think his days are gone and he'll go somewhere else or stay at Madrid.